Hello and welcome to some more pattern recognition problems here. So today I'm going to focus on back rank mate patterns, which are pretty important because they can come up a fair amount of times in your own games possibly. You can't always get a back rank mate, but sometimes you can threaten one. That can be something to go over, just to know how to use the threat of back rank mates, and then also how to achieve back rank mates. Okay, so the opponent has just dropped a rook back here to help cover the back rank and prevent this queen from delivering a mate here. So what can white do in this position? I'll try and get 20 problems in today, and they'll all be dealing with back rank mating threats. So let's go here. Pause the video at any time if you need to think longer. If not, let's figure this problem out. Okay, so we can't go here, to this square. So what we have to do is bring the queen up to here with a check, forcing the king into the corner, and then we can sacrifice the queen, the rook will capture, and then our other rook will deliver that back rank mate. So this is a good pattern to know. I've actually won a tournament game with a similar pattern to this. So here we go. Check, sacrifice the queen, and the rook delivers mate. Okay, and these problems, if I haven't mentioned already, they're rated from 500 up to 1500, so mostly beginner problems, and then some that might be a little more difficult. And if you're trying to brush up on your pattern recognition in chess, you want to do a lot of easier problems just to get all the basics down, because as the problems get more difficult, then you're kind of leaning more towards calculation ability, and harder problems are better for practicing chess calculation. But if you want to recognize patterns, you want to get all the easy patterns down first. Okay, the rook is attacking our queen here. So what do? Well, we know it's a back rank threat here, or a back rank mate. First thing you want to do is look at all possible checks. If we capture the rook with check, well then the queen can just recapture. So that doesn't work. So what other checks do we have? Well, we don't want to go here, right here to this square with the queen, because the rook will just capture. So that doesn't do it. What other options do we have? It's probably not good to sacrifice our queen on this square. So instead, over here. So instead, what about that square? So take a look at that. And you want to try and solve these problems completely in your head, if you can. So pause the video if you want to think the problem out. If not, here we go. So we're going to check the king, and it's kind of like the last problem. The king will be forced to retreat here. And then we don't want to go here and capture this rook. We want to go here, sacrificing our queen, and then capturing and delivering mate with the rook. Okay, so here we go. Check, sacrifice, and mate. All right, and that was rated a little higher, 870. So on to the next problem. The rook is attacking our queen here. So what can we do at this point? All right, this is a good pattern to know. We have a rook on the back rank, but it's blocked. So it looks like white is safe at first glance, but he is not, because we have a rook lined up on the king, and here the rook is protected by the queen and the knight. So what other checks do we have other than this rook? And that's what you really need to pay attention to, is all possible checks. So, none of these pieces down here can deliver a check. The rook can. We've already looked at that, by attacking here, but everything is covering that. So that'll give you a hint. What is the only other piece that can deliver a check? Well, that's right, the queen. So if you want to pause the video and calculate this out, that should be able to give you the answer there. So here we go. The queen will deliver a check, sacrificing itself. The rook is forced to capture, but now our rook can capture and deliver a mate because nothing is covering this square here. So here we go. And mate. All right, that was a little tougher, 1060 rated, but hopefully you got that. On to the next one. Okay, we just had a pawn capture here. Our queen is under attack. What can we do here? All right. Well, look at checks first, of course. And there are no possible checks except for one here, which would be this queen capture. So now we have to do a little calculation and see if that works. If we capture the rook, sacrificing our queen, and then they capture. And it's not really a sacrifice, I guess, because we get 2 rooks for our 1 queen there. And so 2 rooks are worth about 10 pawns and a queen is worth 9. So sometimes that can be a good trade, to give up your queen for 2 rooks. So the rook will check the king here, but the bishop can block. Well, then what do we do? We could add pressure to the pinned piece by going here, but then the king can try and run here. So it's starting to get a little more complicated. But I don't know, that looks to be the best way forward, is to capture. The rook captures. Then what? We capture with our rook, delivering a check to the king. The bishop will have to block. And now that leaves an escape hole for the king. We could add more pressure with our bishop. And maybe that seems to be the way to go. So it doesn't look like we'll be able to deliver a mate unless I'm missing something. And also you want to watch out that you don't have a back rank mate of your own here. So you have to watch out for that. All right, so here we go. Capture, rook captures, and now it looks like we just bring the bishop up to add more pressure to this pinned piece. Unless there's something better, that looks to be the best way to go. Okay, now we can go ahead and capture with the bishop and send the king running, but we do have to watch out for a back rank mate threat ourselves here. But we go ahead in material there. We have the extra bishop and we have 2 rooks versus the queen. So that was a higher rated problem, 12-14. So you can't always deliver the back rank mate, but the threat of back rank mate sometimes will allow you to gain material and use that extra material to win the end game. All right, the next problem. We just have a capture by the bishop here. What do we do? All right, well, looks like we're going for the back rank mate. And whenever you have a battery here, you always want to take a look at this and see if you can use it to your advantage. We have to watch out, see what our opponent is doing. He's piling up some threats of his own. But it looks like we get the first attack in before he can. So we don't want to go here, or the rook can just capture the queen. So the same kind of pattern. We want to bring the queen up to here with check, forcing the king over, and then we sacrifice the queen here. Rook will capture, and then our rook will deliver a mate there. All right, so calculate that in your head. If you're ready, here we go. So check, and we deliver the mate on the back rank. 802 rated. Okay, on to the next one. A capture here in the center by a pawn. What do we have? Well, it looks like here we have to set up the back rank mate. And how do we do that? Well, look at checks first because they are most forcing. So, if we capture here, the bishop will capture our queen. So that doesn't look so good. If we go here, the pawn will capture us. So a better move is to go here, backed up by the bishop. The king will be forced to move into the corner here, or not the corner, but into this trapped area where it can't go anywhere. And then we can capture on the back rank and deliver a back rank mate. All right, here we go. And back rank mate. Another interesting little pattern that maybe you can use in your own games at some point. All right, on to the next one. Here we go. This is an interesting pattern where the pressure is building up here, and a rook is dropped down to pin to the king here. So now, if we tried to bring the queen here, driving the king over, and then, if we tried this pattern to then go forward and he captures, we sacrifice our queen, this rook cannot come up here because it's pinned. So we have to play this a little bit differently. So check that out, see if you can figure it out in your head. And also the queen is covering that square. So that changes things up a little bit. So the new pattern here is to deliver check, forcing the king over to the edge here. And then we capture the rook. The queen will block, but we can just capture and deliver a back rank mate. So here we go. Oh, they didn't like that. Okay, I overlooked. I overlooked the rook. The rook here was the thing that I overlooked. Okay, so that changes things up then. Well, very interesting. Okay, well, I totally overlooked this, and it's possible to do this when there are multiple options. So I needed to look at other checks. This check here, that drives the king into the corner, and then we can mate with the help of this rook here. So capture. Now we sacrifice the queen. So I totally overlooked that because of that other rook there. So that's something to double check, that you don't do that in your own games, when you're trying to go through a tactic and there's multiple options. All right, on to the next one. Here we go. The queen has come off the back rank. What do we have going on here? Well, we have this check, but the rook would just capture us. So we have another way to check. So always look at the different checks and then make sure you follow it through, like I did not do on the last game. All right, or the last problem. Here's a check. The only thing the king can do is move here. And then we can deliver a back rank mate with our queen. And that's because the knight is protecting our queen when it goes here. And there you go. So back rank mate, another little pattern. On to the next one. Oh, the pawn is pushing forward, getting ready to promote with a check. So we need to get our attack in first. Okay. Well, this looks fairly simple. Look at our checks. And the only check that we have is by this rook here. So check on the back rank. The rook will capture, and then our queen will recapture, delivering a mate. So here we go. And mate. Okay, on to the next one. The knight has jumped forward here, trying to reposition, well, get off the back rank and cover this pawn, which is under attack by the queen. And, you know, this just better develops the knight. But we are looking for back rank mate threats here. So what do we do? Okay, this is a very valuable pattern here. Look at what is happening with our pieces. What are we attacking? Well, this bishop is lined up on the king. The queen is lined up on this pawn. The rook has control of the open file. So that should help you figure this out. All right, pause if you need more time. If not, let's take a look at this. So I'm thinking the queen jumps up here with check. If the king runs into the corner, then we just deliver a mate by capturing the rook. So the rook will capture, but now it's pinned by the bishop, and it allows the other rook to deliver a back rank mate. So here we go. And back rank mate because of the pin by the bishop. A good pattern to know. All right, I'll try and zip through 10 more problems, and I'll try to do these a little bit faster. That way the video doesn't drag out too long. Okay, so here we have a rook and a queen targeting the back rank. They just captured, so you know we probably need to recapture with a check. But then what? It looks like our opponent is fine if a rook blocks with the help of the queen. But we have another piece that can deliver a check. So calculate that out in your head, and here we go. So check, and then this pattern of delivering a check on a further square on the back rank, and then you can recapture. So that was kind of an illusion. It looked like you were able to block, but once that second piece jumped on the back rank, that kind of overwhelmed the defending rook there. All right, on to the next one. Here we go. We have, let's see, bishop protecting the queen. You know, what do we do here? All right, look at the battery controlling the F file. If we go here, the rook is covering that. So once again, the pattern of delivering a check first, driving the king into the corner so it can no longer defend the F8 square. And then we can sacrifice the queen, rook will capture, and the rook delivers the back rank mate. Here we go. And the back rank mate. So a great pattern to burn into your memory banks. And that's what you want to do with pattern recognition problems. Go over these problems and then go over them again. And it takes about 7 times of running through problems and seeing something about 7 times to burn it into your long-term memory. Because if you just go over these problems once and then forget about them, you'll forget most, maybe all of what you looked at over time. So pattern recognition involves going over problems multiple times. If you can start slow, take all your time on a problem, and then go faster as you do them each time. So let's say you take 5 minutes or more the first time you go through the problems. And then the second time, you go down to 3 or 4 minutes, then 2 minutes, then 1 minute, until the end. You're trying to go through each problem and only give yourself 10 or 15 seconds. But by then, you've seen the problems enough times that you can really zip through them. Okay, once again, we're controlling an open file with a battery. And the queen is covering this square. So we need to target instead this square and drive the king into the corner. So check, sacrifice the queen or trade queens and deliver the mate here. Okay, next problem. All right, we have a queen targeted, which is, the bishop is now protecting this rook that our queen was attacking. But that leaves the king open to a check here. So the knight is covering that. So it looks like, we can capture with check. And those checks are devastating sometimes. You have to look for checks first. And you should probably do that on every move. That can help you avoid a lot of blunders if you're constantly looking for checks against your king. And then also before you move, make sure you don't overlook a check against your opponent. Because here we could have a capture with check. The king will be forced into the corner here, and then that allows us to deliver the back rank mate. So capture and mate here. All right, on to the next one. We have a battery here. The back rank is protected at the moment. But we have a crazy little pattern here. So let's see. Well, we have to make sure this works. Because I'm thinking we have a check here. But then, if the rook captures, if we capture, it's hoping the rook will come down. Instead, the queen could capture. So, and we have to watch out, there's a possible back rank mate threat against us here on this square. Okay, we have to look at all possible checks, and that's what will really make a difference. So we have a knight check here. We have a knight check here. We have a queen check here. Also, the queen is covering this square. So if our knight jumps here, that forces this pawn to attack, leaving the H file open. And then our rook can attack here. All right, so that looks to be the way to go. So knight checks, pawn captures, and rook delivers the mate. So here we go. And the block happens, but then we just capture. All right, so queen covered this way and the rook is covering that way. So the king was on the back rank, but it was also kind of a side rank as well, or file, I guess. So sometimes you can attack a king, and instead of doing it on the back rank delivering check, you can check and mate the king on the open file on the side of the board. Okay, let's try and get these last 5 problems in. Queen has retreated back, creating a threat here, trying to capture with check and then mate us. So, it made us here, I guess, if our king ran to here. Okay. What do we have? Well, we have a check. The rook could capture, our queen could capture, but then the king would escape here. Um, so, a lot going on here. So once again, the obvious thing would be deliver a check here, rook captures, then queen captures. The king would retreat here. Now, we can't drop back here to deliver a check because this pawn would capture us. So maybe we need to check with this rook. All right. Then if they capture, so if we go here, rook captures, queen captures, king runs here, but now we can go down to here, delivering a check. And if we have a block, well, then we can capture this pawn, delivering check, forcing the king to the back rank, and then our other rook can come up. So it's kind of tricky. Try and calculate that out in your head. Pause the video if you need more time. If not, here we go. So check, check. Now we drop back and deliver check. After this block, we can capture with check again, and the king will have to run to this corner, but then our rook can deliver the mate up here. All right, we got 4 more problems. Let's go. Oh, and that was a tougher problem. That was 1498. So if you had some difficulty with that, especially for you beginners, no big deal. Just look at it again, and try and go over these puzzles multiple times to burn them into your memory better. Okay, queen has moved over here, maybe wanting to drop back and defend, but what checks do we have? Now we could go here, deliver a check, backed up by our pawn, but the king could escape, and then if we check here, the king will escape here. So we have to look for other options. Make sure you find all the checks that are possible. We could go here, but we saw that didn't quite work. Here, we could just be captured. There's a possible check here, but then the king could run here, and then we could deliver a mate here. So that's a possible option. We can also go here and deliver a check immediately, and the only thing that can be done is for the queen to block, and then we capture and we deliver a mate because this pawn is covering these escape squares. So here we go. Check, block, and mate. All right, we have 3 more problems. Let's finish these out. Okay, the pawn just blocked a check here by our bishop. So what do we do? Well, looks like we just capture the pawn, delivering the check, and the only option is for the rook to block that. And then our queen can drop up here or press forward and deliver a back rank mate. So take a look at that. All right. So hopefully you figure it out in your head. Here we go. And it's a back rank mate because the bishop is pinning the rook to the king. All right, on to the next problem. We just had a capture. Oh, and the pattern comes up again where we have a rook here hitting this square. So if we capture here, delivering a check, and the rook blocks here, it's backed up by the queen, and it looks like they've defended, but our other rook jumps into action, shifting the back rank mating square. So an important pattern here. All right, so capture with check, and it looks like everything is okay. But we have this rook checking and shifting the back rank mating square to where the queen is not covering this square. So that allows us to deliver mate. Okay, we have what? One more problem. Here we go. The final problem. A capture, rook's on the 7th rank, so that's very dangerous for us. But we are looking for a back rank mate ourselves here. Okay, how do we do it? How do we deliver it? We have a rook, which can go up here, but the bishop is covering that square. We have a queen that could go here, capturing, but then rook or bishop could block, but then that would allow our rook to go up there. So this is a case of where the defender is going to be overloaded. The bishop cannot cover both of these very well. So what we want to do is capture the knight with our queen, and it forces a piece to block. If the bishop goes here and blocks with the bishop, well, then our rook can deliver mate. So the rook is going to be forced to defend, but then our queen will be able to capture the rook, and the bishop recaptures, and then that allows our rook to deliver mate. So the defenders are being overloaded here. So calculate that out in your head, and here we go. Then we just capture, and now the bishop is no longer covering that square, so we're allowed to get the back rank mate in. All right, that was a 1229 problem. Kind of going into the upper end of beginner players, into closing in on intermediate players. But hopefully you did all right on these patterns. I would encourage you, go back over them until they're burnt into your memory, and you can start recognizing them in your own games to attack your opponent and also defend against these in case your opponent tries to trick you with these patterns. So as always, feel free to leave any comments. Like and subscribe to support the channel if you haven't already. Thank you for watching, and have a super chess day.